Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and most exciting sports news every single day. And today, we're diving headfirst into something that could become one of the most fascinating storylines of this year's NFL Draft. Something that's already got Lions fans dreaming, analysts buzzing, and even Ohio State faithful keeping a close eye on what Detroit does next. The first round of the draft is in the books, and the Detroit Lions made a big move, selecting defensive tackle Tylike Williams with the 28th overall pick. A powerful, disruptive presence out of Ohio State, Williams was a name many expected to come off the board early in the second round, but Detroit clearly saw something they liked, enough to pull the trigger late in the first. But here's where things take a very intriguing turn. As Lions GM Brad Holmes made the pick and addressed the media shortly after, he dropped a comment that might seem casual on the surface, but for those paying attention, it hinted at something much bigger. Holmes said, "There are still some really good players out there that are worth moving up for. If I wake up feeling it and Dan feels the same, there's a chance we make a move." That's not just vague draft talk, that's a signal. A green light. A door opening to a potential day two surprise. So now speculation is swirling around one very specific name, JT Tuimoloau. And folks, if you're not paying attention to this possibility, you might want to start. Tuimoloau, like Williams, is a former Ohio State standout. He's an edge rusher with a relentless motor, incredible athleticism, and a track record of making big plays in big moments. He finished third in the nation with 21.5 tackles for loss last season, along with 12.5 sacks. That's elite production. That's the kind of player who doesn't just fill a roster spot, he changes games. And now, with his college teammate already suiting up for Detroit, fans are starting to connect the dots. Could Tuimoloau be next? Could Holmes be preparing to reunite these two wrecking balls on the same defensive line, this time in the NFL? Nothing is confirmed, let's be clear about that. But the buzz is growing. The Lions currently hold the 60th overall pick in the second round and the 102nd overall pick in the third. That gives them ammo, flexibility. And if Tuimoloau begins to slide, even slightly, Detroit has what it needs to move up and make a statement. Think about what that would mean for this defense. Alan McNeil anchoring the interior, Tylike Williams crashing through the middle, Aiden Hutchinson causing chaos off the edge, and then JT Tuimoloau flying in from the opposite side. That's not just a good defensive line. That's a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. Now, could this all be smoke? Could Holmes be throwing out just enough intrigue to keep everyone guessing? Sure, that's part of the draft game. But this is where things get really fun. Because there's already a relationship between Williams and Tuimoloau. They've played together. They know how to complement each other's game. And if you ask any defensive coach, that kind of chemistry isn't easy to find. It's not just about raw talent. It's about trust, communication, and knowing how to work together in the trenches. Could Detroit be building something around that idea? Some insiders believe the Lions might already have a short list of trade targets in the early second round. And if Tuimoloau is on that list, even quietly, then we could be on the verge of a draft moment that fans talk about for years. You don't trade up aggressively for just any player. But if Tuimoloau slides into the 40s, or even the late 30s, that's when things could get real. The question becomes, how much is Holmes willing to give up? Is a third rounder enough to move up 15 or 20 spots? Would he consider parting with future capital? It all depends on how much they value Tuimoloau, and if they see him as the missing piece. Another element to consider is the culture fit. Tuimoloau is known for his work ethic, discipline, and locker room presence, qualities that Dan Campbell lives for in his players. We've seen it time and time again. The Lions don't just want flashy names. They want football guys, grit, leadership. And if you've ever watched Tuimoloau play or listened to him speak, he fits that mold to a T. He's physical, fearless, and fundamentally sound. He's a Campbell guy. Now let's talk fan reaction. Since the Williams pick was announced, social media has lit up with people calling for the Lions to go get JT. Ohio State fans are tweeting about it. Detroit fans are dreaming about it. And across message boards and comment sections, there's a growing belief that something special might be brewing. Some are even saying that drafting Tuimoloau would instantly give Detroit one of the most dynamic young defensive fronts in the entire league, and possibly the best in the NFC North. Of course, this all hinges on what happens early in the second round. Teams like the Cardinals, Commanders, and Falcons all pick before the Lions. Any one of them could snatch Tuimoloau if they see the same potential. But there's also a scenario, and it's not far-fetched, where other positional needs push edge rushers down the board. And if that happens, you can bet Brad Holmes will be watching closely. Let's also remember the emotional element here. Reuniting college teammates in the pros doesn't happen often, but when it does, and when it works, it can be electric. We've seen it with LSU guys. Alabama duos. Could Ohio State be next? Could Tylike and JT bring that Buckeye brotherhood energy to Motown? Imagine the first time they line up together again in an NFL game, wreaking havoc on an offensive line. The chemistry, the familiarity, the absolute chaos. Now, I want to be careful not to overhype. We don't know if the Lions will pull the trigger. We don't even know if JT will be available. But based on Holmes' comments, based on the draft board, based on the fit, this is a real possibility. And if it happens, it would send a loud and clear message that the Detroit Lions are no longer rebuilding. They're loading up to win right now. But what do you think about all of this? Should the Lions be aggressive and trade up to get JT Tuimoloau? Or should they stay patient, trust their board, and let the draft come to them? Do you believe the Williams pick was part of a bigger plan? I'm dying to hear your thoughts on this. Because from where I'm standing, this feels like more than just speculation. It feels like a setup. And if the next domino falls the way we think it might, Lions fans, we could be witnessing the birth of something special. I seriously can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments below. Whether you're all in on a Tuimoloau trade up or think it's all smoke and mirrors, let's talk about it. Because the next 24 hours could change everything. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'll be covering every pick, every trade, and every surprise as the draft rolls on. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Lions!